Hi everyone, it's Jeanette and I am here to show you how to navigate to the database, the library catalog, in order to look for empirical articles or research studies. So when I say empirical, that means a scientific study that was conducted where they collected data and analyzed that data in an objective manner and then answered a research question based on that analysis. So empirical means there was scientific observational evidence to test a research question and draw an objective scientific conclusion. So I'm on the home page. Go here to Services for Students. And then we're going to scroll down to the bottom. And then you should see in the learning resources, we're going to use the Palamanui Library and Learning Center. We're going to click on that. And we're using Palamanui because that's the campus that I'm at. That's my home campus. So you have a couple of different options here. You can actually use the up here where it says Library Catalog. See this? You can also see down here, you can just search directly in here, but if you want a more refined search, you can go here to the EBSCO full text. And that's going to be most helpful because there's no sense finding a text or a resource where you can't actually get the full text, right? So sometimes you can find an article, but it's only an abstract. And you're like, oh, I love that article. This fits perfectly what I'm looking for. But then you don't get to read the full article. And so I like to just use full text. So I'm going to go here to EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost is just an electronic database used for social science research. And so let's say I am going to go ahead and look up, these are book collections, and we really don't want book collections. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to see if they have psych info on here. Psychology and Behavioral Science collection. And you're going to have to log in. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter. And then, of course, we have their dual authentication, so it's going to send me a push. So I'm going to go ahead and push that. Here we go. And so now our EBSCOhost comes in. And what I want you to do, let's say I am going to my mother has been in a state of depression ever since my father passed away in 2016. So I'm going to put grieving and depression. I'm going to find an article on that. Here's a couple of things that I can do to go ahead and ensure that it's an empirical study that meets the criteria for being a scholarly source. We're going to go ahead and say peer-reviewed, meaning it went through a process where other psychologists, other researchers actually reviewed the research to check on the validity of the process. And we're going to go ahead and also look for more recent articles. So let's say we're going to start from 2010 and earlier. Too old, and we probably have new research that may or may not support those previous findings. So when you do that, when you have full text, that makes sure you don't just get an abstract, you have the whole article. Peer-reviewed is going to make sure it's published in a scholarly journal that requires another analysis by other researchers and psychologists. The year is going to make sure that you're getting current research, okay? And now we're going to go ahead, let me move my image out of the way and click search. And now we have 55 articles. So meaning differentiates depression and grief among suicide survivors. That also is very interesting to me. I myself am a suicide loss survivor. My brother took his own life when I was just 19 years. He was 23. So I'm going to look, and another double check is because sometimes you have articles in this type of search that still aren't appropriate. I want you to do primary source articles, meaning they collected data directly. And how you can assure that is to make sure that there is a method and a result section. So let's just scroll down, because sometimes you can have a literature review. So this is an actual method. See, they collected data by administering this scale. Here's the measures that they took, and then here's their results. They ran statistical analyses. So those are the criteria I want you to use for your article. You can do a couple of things. You can download the article, upload it into your Google Drive so that you actually have a hard copy of the article. If you upload it into your Google Drive, now you can create a shareable link of the article that you can embed directly into your discussion post. So I'm just going to go ahead and title the article, or give me the subject so I can review it later. And now you have access to it. So that's how you find an empirical article using the Hawaii Community College Palamanui Library database search. I hope you are able to find an article that intrigues you, that captivates your interest. As you're reading the article, know that the language may be challenging. This may be your very first time reading a scientific study, and that's okay. That's part of the process. I want to get you familiar with reading scientific work, reading psychological research, because as you advance in your academic career, you're not only going to read more and more of these sources, but you're also going to conduct your own research and write your own primary source papers. It's really important that we use primary sources and not secondary sources. By primary sources, it came straight from the horse's mouth. So it's not like gossip, right, where so-and-so saw such and such, and then they reported to so-and-so this and that. And then that person went and told person number 3 and said this and this. And the story changes a little bit every time, right? So when you're reviewing information through a secondary source, you're not hearing it directly from the person who had that experience. It gets not only watered down, but sometimes it gets distorted. How they interpreted what they heard may not be an accurate representation, or it may not align with how you interpret it. So it's really important that we go directly to the primary source. We go directly to the actual researchers who collected that specific data, analyzed that specific data, and answered their research question, because that's primary source information. And we always want to use primary source information as social scientists, as psychologists, or other disciplines within those social sciences. So those are just some tips, some background information about what empirical research is, why we want to use empirical research and primary sources within that empirical database, and then how to find an empirical article using the tools and resources available to you through the Palamanui Library. Thank you so much. I will look forward to reading your articles and your analyses. Have fun.